How's it going, good people? I am James Barjuda, and this is Shed Some Light. Today, we're going to be talking about auditory hallucinations versus inner monologue. So, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get right into it. 1 second here. Auditory hallucinations versus inner monologue. Although similar, auditory hallucinations and having an inner monologue are very different from each other. In this video, we're going to see what they are. Auditory hallucinations are the sensory perception of hearing noises without external stimulus. This symptom is practically associated with schizophrenia and related with psychotic disorders, but it is not specific to it. Auditory hallucinations are false perceptions of sound. They have been described as experiencing of internal words or noises that have no real origin in the outside world and are perceived to be separate from the person's mental processes. Auditory hallucinations have veridical, practical qualities, perceptual qualities, in the sense that individuals are often convinced that the objective reality of the experience. Auditory hallucinations feature prominently in many psychiatric disorders. It has been estimated that approximately 75% of people with schizophrenia experience auditory hallucinations. These hallucinations are also relatively common in bipolar disorders. 25% or 20 to 50% in major depression with psychiatric features. 10% and in post-traumatic stress disorders is 20 or 40%. Not all auditory hallucinations are associated with mental illnesses. These studies show that 10% to 40% of people without psychiatric illnesses report hallucination experiences in the auditory modality. The range of organic brain disorders is also associated with hallucinations, including temporal lobe epilepsy, delirium, dementia, focal brain lesions, neuroinfections such as viral encephalitis, and cerebral tremors. Intoxication or withdrawal from substances such as alcohol, cocaine, amphetamines is also associated with auditory hallucinations. So, what do we learn? If anything, auditory hallucination is profound in those with pre existing mental illnesses, conditions such as schizophrenia and bipolarism. People with substance abuse problems also can have instances of auditory hallucinations. Studies have shown that when a person becomes aware of the hallucinations, they can sometimes control the duration and the intensity. Inner monologue. We're moving on now to inner monologue. Inner monologue, internal dialogue, the voice inside your head, or in our inner voice. Your internal monologue is the result of certain brain mechanisms that cause you to hear yourself talk in your head without actually speaking a form of sound. The ability to have an internal monologue is thought to develop during childhood in what's called primitive speech. As children acquire language skills, they also congruently learn how to engage in an internal commentary as they're working independently or taking turns during activity. Childhood inner voices can also come in the forms of imaginary friends. In adulthood, this is the same type of inner speech continues to support working memory along with other types of cognitive processes. It's thought that the internal monologue helps you complete everyday tasks, such as your job. Still, not everyone experiences an inner voice. You might have inner thoughts, but this doesn't pose the same type of inner speech where you can hear your own voice expressing them. It's also possible to have both an inner voice and inner thoughts, where you experience them in intervals. Internal monologue is the thought to be partially controlled by corollary discharge, a type of brain signal. It helps distinguish between different types of sensory experiences, such as those that are created internally or externally. Even if you don't necessarily hear inner voices, everyone experiences corollary discharge to some degree. It's practically relevant to your auditory system in the way you process hearing speech. So what do we learn? If anything, again, inner monologue is the inner conversation, or inner monologue is the conversation happening in your mind. Often this occurs while reading or while thinking out external problems. The voice can be the person's own voice or a variation of the person's voice. Inner monologue was developed during childhood to weigh options before making decisions. Alrighty, folks. So there you have it. That's auditory hallucinations versus the inner monologue. I hope that it was informative. If it was, go ahead and hit that like button. If it wasn't, let me know in the comments and hit the dislike button if you so please. But all the way, you know what? I appreciate you anyway. So once again, this is Shed Some Light. I am James Barjuda. You guys have a wonderful day. Peace.